Welcome to the Junior Dev Canberra event. We are fully online for now, so just grab some snacks, relax, and enjoy the stream.
We would like to begin by acknowledging and celebrating the Ngunnawal and Ngambri peoples on whose land we meet and work. We wish to acknowledge their culture and the contribution they make to this region, and we pay our respects to their elders past, present, and future.
During the event, if you have any questions, please use the Slido link to post your questions, and our speakers will be happy to answer the questions at the end of their talk.
Hi everyone, let me just get my screen shared and I will start presenting. So let me do that. And let's do that one. Cool. So my name is Arpit Bajaj. Thanks to Junior Developers for having me here to do this presentation. I'll basically be going over Dynatrace, and if you don't know what that is, hopefully you'll get to learn something. I'll be going a little bit over monitoring and how monitoring works as an overview. Before I get started, I guess I'll give you a bit of background about myself. So I'm a software consultant that works at Dynatrace at the moment. I've been here for the last year and a half. So I graduated with a Bachelor of Computer Science from the University of Melbourne at the end of 2019. Throughout my university role, I got to do a couple of different internships. So I was a research assistant for a little while. So I had a bio-informatics project for around a year, and I moved on to a software developer internship role for around a year as well. So after that, I was graduating, and one of the graduate roles that I applied for was Dynatrace. It went well, and I've been here since. One of the first things I did when I started Dynatrace is I got to go to the US, where I got to hang out with the rest of the team, so the head office. Got to travel a little bit. That part of me is actually in New York. My first time going to New York. That was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, my trip did get cut a little bit short because of COVID, so I was supposed to be there for 4 months, but I had to come back after 2. And since I could come back, I've been working with one of the largest one of the largest clients that we have in the Australia Pacific region, and been here since. So I guess from that, I will get started with the actual presentation. I've tried to make it a bit more DevOps and SRE focused, as I feel like that would cater well to the crowd here. But if you don't know what Dynatrace is, from a very general overview, Dynatrace is a full stack monitoring tool that allows you to see everything from the front end, so how the users are experiencing your different applications, whether it's mobile, web application, custom applications. It connects it through to your transaction and services, so all of your code level requests. So this is where you'll have your Nginx, your Apache, Java, whatever stack that you're running on, and it connects it all the way down to the infrastructure, so your actual host level. And it connects it down to the data center as well. And in the current climate, we are, as organizations are moving to the cloud and DevOps is becoming the new normal, Dynatrace is supporting that shift as well. And in the current organization, more and more companies are moving to cloud native architecture so they can innovate faster. Of course, they're looking to release more often, and what that's resulted in is DevOps having increasingly more operational responsibility. And the challenge that today's organizations are facing is how they can deliver better software faster. And whether you're working in development, DevOps, or operations, software has actually become the main revenue generator in most of the industries. So being able to release better software faster is integral to the success of the organization. And that this is something that organizations need to be doing to compete as well. So customers are expecting a high level of feature set, high customer experience, because if your application can't develop provided to them, they can easily move on to a different one. And to achieve this goal, your R&D teams have had to quickly deliver applications, support frequent iterations, and roll out new product features at scale. But if we leave it at that, faster delivery alone does lead to customer disappointment if that increase in velocity has happened at the expense of quality. And what's happening currently in today's climate is, though we're seeing that increase in velocity, more than 50% of development effort is actually spent finding and fixing software problems. And within your DevOps team, about 53% of production releases are failing or leading to degraded services. And your operations team that need to manage these incidents, mitigating these can take anywhere from an hour to a month. And there's a couple of reasons why this might be happening, but a big one is because of the siloed teams at the various different organizations. So different roles within your different teams might be using a variety of different tools. Maybe your software engineers are using GitHub or any kind of source controls. DevOps engineers are using different pipelines, such tools such as Jenkins, CircleCI, Travis CI, and so on. And what this is doing is this is creating a silo between your different teams, and which basically leads to a lack of situational awareness. And only about a third of companies have integrated their DevOps tools throughout their production monitoring and observability toolset. Now, in saying that, Dynatrace was similar back in 2014. We used to have 2 releases a year, but we've actually transformed ourselves through AI and automation with impressive results. So basically, through the power of Dynatrace, we've gone from around 2 releases a year back in 2014 to 26 releases in 2020. So that's a release every 2 weeks. And we've improved our speed to production to less than 1 hour. So that's resulted in an increase in daily deployments from 0 to 5,000. And even though this velocity has increased, the actual production bugs that are being reported by customers has actually decreased by 93%. And I'll give you a couple of examples how we've been able to help different clients using this approach. And we'll go through a live demo of how we've done this as well. But one of the key ones is this bank called KeyBank. And through a workshop with them, we've been able to help identify areas of improvement for them. And what that's led to is 75 fewer production incidents, so increase in 75% quality. We found we've identified different ways to shorten their deployment times and shorten their deployment times by 97%. And finally, we've been able to help increase their time to market from 12 releases a year to 26 releases a year. And their journeys actually followed a very similar pathway to the one that was followed by Dynatrace. And basically, the journey that we went through, we're trying to get other organizations to go through a similar journey. Another client that's had something similar happen is ANZ. This is directly from ANZ. So one of the key issues that we're facing was international money transfer, and Dynatrace was able to reduce their processing time by half by identifying an inefficient database query and being able to remediate it on the spot. Also within ANZ, their mean time to resolution has actually decreased by 75% because they have the increased visibility across all the technology landscape. And because of that, they can get the right teams involved in remediation, and which leads to faster recovery times, enabling customer impact to be minimized and prevented. Within the DevOps side, there's actually 4 main DevOps cases that Dynatrace can help you with, transform with. And these use cases are divided between your pre-production environments and your production environments. So within pre-production, Dynatrace can provide you with on-demand feedback to jumpstart your shift-left culture. So give you continuous feedback about what's going on. And we can also automate within your pre-production quality analysis to help deliver that better software. Now, when you make it down to productions, you can actually automate your incident management to solve problems faster and automate problem remediation to help eliminate war rooms and innovate more. And one of the key examples that I've actually had to do with my client sites is being able to set up if there's a bad deploy, Dynatrace will pick up that something has changed within the environment. This has led to a degradation in services, and being able to run an Ansible playbook, as a remediation tool to roll back that particular deployment. So, and what we're really doing is we're also actually integrating into your monitoring pipeline. So monitoring and observability are no longer a manual step in your delivery process. Dynatrace is actually being embedded into your software delivery process, so it provides you with on-demand observability for each build at each stage in your pipeline. And what this means is you can specify your quality requirements in a codified version control artifact, and it's not subjective to something like a manual. And based on that, you can automate the evaluation, validation, and promotion of builds to downstream environments without any human intervention. I won't go into Keptn too much because I do want to spend a fair bit of time on the live demo. But Keptn is an open source product that we have developed, which is actually helping you automate your build pipelines. So this is kind of what it looks like. This is Keptn. You can set your different SLIs, so your service level indicators regarding your builds. So if the response time for the 95th percentile is less than 100, that means it's doing pretty well. Less than 200, it's doing okay. You can have different SLIs, so failure rate, the login response time, the login of the service calls for your login. And based on that, you can see exactly where your builds are looking like. So build 1 went pretty well. Build 2 seemed like it had some issues. Build 3 had a couple of issues here as well, and build 4 did pretty well. Now, after that, I will move on to a live demo just with the Dynatrace environment. So this is what the Dynatrace environment looks like. So this is the tenant. These are all of the different applications I have defined. So when I say applications, I mean the front end application that the user is actually going to. So let's click on one. So easytravel.com. This is actually one of the first ones that I used when I started at Dynatrace. And basically, all the traffic going to any of these URLs. So if you're familiar with AWS, these websites are set up in EC2s. But if you in different organizations, obviously this would correspond to different URLs. All of the traffic going into these URLs is being factored in here. If I go to the actual application, so if I went to that URL, it's just a simple booking website where you can book um, flights to wherever you want to go. And the way I know Dynatrace is working is if I go into the network tab and I press enter, it will load. And if I go to the very top of this network, I can see that this Ruxit agent is what's telling me that Dynatrace is being successfully injected into this web application. So with this, I'm able to track the user journeys. And when I say user journeys, I mean I can actually track what kind of performance the users are facing currently at the moment. So I can see how long are load actions taking on average. So by load actions, I mean loading of the actual pages, loading of the landing pages, loading of the about us page, and so on. I can see on average how long the XHR actions are taking. So when I say XHR, this is any interaction with the web page that's triggering a web request. So if I click on a button, that would be considered an XHR actions. And of course, if there's something else you would like to implement, we also provide you APIs to add your custom actions. I can see what kind of browsers people are using. So most of the users that are going into their application are using Chrome. 57% of them are using desktops. If I click on one of this, I can see what kind of, within that desktop environment, what kind of browser they're using. So most of them are using Chrome. If I click on that, I have a detailed analysis view of users that are just using Chrome at the moment, and how long their load actions are taking, how long their XHR actions are taking, and what kind of response time they're getting as well. I can have a look at the geolocation breakdown. So where are my users coming from? In this case, this demo environment is set up in North America and Europe. So most of my visits are from Europe and North America. There's Australia. That was probably me when I jumped on there. And I also have, and this is an overview view of how users are actually finding the performance of the application. So if most of the load times are lower, it's not taking a long time, this is a good indicator of, okay, my application is actually doing pretty well. If I click on this errors tab, I can actually see what kind of errors my application is facing. So how many JavaScript errors am I getting? How many HTTP errors am I getting? Are any of these errors coming when users click on a certain thing? This is happening during user action. So a person's clicking on a login page and that's generating a JavaScript error. That might be something that you would like to know. And of course, I can see what kind of resources I'm pulling into my application as well. So first-party resources, third-party resources, and so on. If I go down a little bit, these are all of the user actions that Dynatrace is automatically capturing for that application. So if I click on View Full Details and go down a little bit, these are all of the actions that users are making within that application. So loading up the main page, clicking on search, and I can see how many actions I'm getting per minute, how long they're taking on average, and if that's a satisfying experience for the user. Now, if I go back into my main application overview page, I can actually analyze the user sessions as well. So this is actually giving me all of the users that are coming into the application, and we can actually track them. So at the moment, let's say we can set up user tags, so we can tag it with the login IDs of the user, and we can see what that user was doing. So let's go into this particular user session. So this person has had a couple of different user sessions within this application. We can go to, let's go to one that has a couple more actions. So let's go to this one. And if I go down, I can see how long their session was, what kind of operating system they were using, their screen resolution, ISP. Did they have a satisfying experience? Did they have any errors within that session or not? If I go down, I can see exactly everything that they were doing when they were going onto that page. So They loaded onto the main page, they clicked on login, they logged in. I have that user tag, and then they clicked on search, and they've done a couple of other things as well. Seems like they've made a booking of some sort. One of the cool things that we can also look at in this view is the filters. I'm not sure if this environment has any session replay, but one of the other capabilities, not at the moment, that Dynatrace provides is session replay, which is all the user actions that I showed you. You can actually replay them in video form for your business team. So if there's something going wrong, you can actually watch a video of your customers going through the entire workflow of your application. Now, I'm going to move on to from the business side of things, so the application side of things, to see where this connects to on the code level side of things. So this is one of the buttons that I missed on purpose before. This is the services. And as I mentioned before, when I say services, I do mean the your code level services. So this is where you would see your Java, Nginx, Apache. If you're using any pods, services running on pods, those would automatically be picked up as well. So let's give it a second. So I can see that this application that's going through an Easy Travel web server that's running Apache. It's going through this Tomcat customer front end. And I can go all the way through. It's going through this Nginx process, microjourney microservice, and I can go down to the very end. So there's a couple of different things happening. We have credit card verification happening, which is being done by this native credit card validation service. And we can connect all of this down to the actual database. And I can actually go down to each of these services. So if I just wanted to visualize the flow from all of this, I can see, okay, what kind of database statements are being made within that flow. So if I click on that, so I can see I've got a full filter of my entire application. And I can see, okay, these are the database queries that are being made. And if I wanted to see the response time, I could easily chart that as well. If I go back, I'll actually go back to a service view quickly. Let's see. So let's go to this Apache web server. And I can view the service as well. So within the service, I can see that there's 3 applications calling the service. So the Angular version of that website and the weather version of that website is being called by 3 different services itself. And it's running on this particular load balancer host. And I can see that these are the different services that it's calling. If I click on View Dynamic Requests, this is actually pretty similar to the user actions page that you're looking at before. But in this case, this is now the service level view. So if I go down, I can see all of the different requests that are coming into the service and how long they're taking on average as well. And everything that I'm showing you here is easily dashboarded onto a different screen, so we can create dashboards for all of this. So different development teams look for different things. They might only want to look at this calculate recommendation service, and that's the response that they particularly care about. Sorry, I was getting a call for a second there. Now, that covers up the services for the most part. And I can actually drill down from the service level down to the actual host that this is running on. So if I go down to this, now this is the actual host. So this is an Apache host, as suggested by the name, and this is where I'm getting my infrastructure metrics. So how much CPU is this using? How much memory is it using? What kind of disk space is running? And what processes are running on this as well. And it's these processes that spawn those services for us. So Dynatrace automatically will pick this up and spawn those for you. And to actually get this going, all you really have to do is install the agent on your system. So if it's Linux, it's a shell script that we provide you with, and it will automatically connect you to the tenant. And if it's Windows, it's a simple executable file. Now, there is one last thing that I want to cover within this demo, and that is problems. So once Dynatrace has been instrumented in your environment, they'll actually automatically start detecting problems that are happening. So there's a 7-day baseline period where it'll baseline the performance of your application at the moment and what kind of traffic you're getting. And after that, it'll start to generate all these problems itself. So one of the ones that I was looking at before, I'll bring it up here so I can search for the different problems, was P21 04 2088. So this is what a problem ticket looks like in Dynatrace. So automatically detected. I can see that this affected 3 different applications, 9 different services, and 2 pieces of infrastructure that were running those services. This is how many users were impacted and how many service calls were impacted. If I go down, I can see which applications were affected. So in this case, the Angular version of that Easy Travel website, the response time went to 1.03 seconds, which was an increase of 84%. Easy Travel went up to 9.65 seconds, which was an increase by 214%. And a couple of the synthetic monitors were also failing. If I click on this visual resolution path, I can actually see what was happening in my environment and how this problem unfolded. So it started to affect these couple of web services, got down to a few more. Then my actual application started to be affected. And following a couple of different things, maybe it was resolved by different teams. My synthetics are coming back up. Response time is slowly getting better here and there. And this is how I can see from a visual point of view what parts of my architecture are affected and how long did it take to get solved. Going back to the problem, there's a couple. Dynatrace will automatically try and provide you the root cause of why this happened. So why did that response time increase by such a large amount? And in this case, it's actually found this check destination service. So if I go to the check destination service, let's see what it looks like. So this is a similar page to what I was showing you before. So this is the service page. I can see that this is running on a couple of different hosts. And if I go down, I can see the response time had gone up. It's getting a little bit better now. I'm locked into this problem time frame. And I can see, okay, so the response time was pretty good. It increased by quite a bit. And it seemed like there was a deployment change at the same time. If I click on failure rate, I can see that this didn't actually lead to any failures. It was just very slow for the users to access this particular service. And the CPU response time, the CPU usage actually went up by quite a bit as well. But the throughput was actually pretty consistent. If I go back, and I know that this is a response time degradation, I can actually just click on this Analyze Response Time Degradation button, and this will actually analyze all of the different classes, different code levels for me. And I can see why my services are taking a long time. So in this case, it didn't really have anything to do with interaction with your services or queues or anything to do with the database. It actually just had to do with the code execution. So if I click on that, I can go to the method hotspots. And if I go down, I can see the 2 main Java methods that were at the crux of this problem. So this was the root cause of why my response time was getting higher. So this one contributed 75.9% to that increase, and this second method contributed 24.1%. And having access to this knowledge, you can give this straight to your development team, and they can actually go straight to the method that they need to be looking at to fix the particular problems within your environment. That kind of covers off my live demo sections of things. I'll go back to the presentation, I think mostly at the end there as well. So as a summary, I kind of wanted to cover how in the current industry climate, we do need to be releasing better software faster and how Dynatrace can help with that through different DevOps practices and what Dynatrace actually looks like from an environment perspective as well. There's a couple of different resources that you are welcome to check out. You can come to Dynatrace Services if you're interested in learning more about Captain. I know I didn't really cover it too much. Feel free to talk to me. I can have a chat with you after. Or you can always go to the GitHub and have a look at it yourself. And we do host perform podcasts, webinars, blogs all the time. And we do have a YouTube channel as well. If this is something that you want to try, feel free. I always have it running in the background whenever I'm creating a side project just to see how my different interactions are going along, but you're welcome to try it as well. And first of all, have fun. I hope you enjoyed the talk. That really covers it from me. Okay, I have a couple of questions. So, hi Arpit, how do you find working in the US? Is the working environment there quite different? Yeah, it was quite a bit different. Going from Australia was definitely a bit of a challenge. I was used to working uh, 37.5 hours. The usual day is 40 hours a week there with an hour lunch. But other than that, it was a great experience. I would do it all over again. I would love to go back to New York as well, like for a year or something. That would be a lot of fun. Hi, Arpit. Did Dynatrace create the monitoring UI too, or did you use a library? So everything that I showed you, all of that is created by Dynatrace. So um, when you do get a trial, you actually get the tenant that I was showing you. That's all you need, and all you have to do is install the agent on your environment, and you'll see your different metrics coming up. Any internships for finding internship graduate opportunities in CBR? So this is going to sound a bit. The best way is LinkedIn, or if you do have any people that you might know, it would be great to. It's a good idea to usually reach out to them as well. If you're looking to do something like this or working with Dynatrace, feel free to reach out to me. I know we're currently looking for grads at the moment, but let me know if you'd like to talk a bit more about that. Were there any more questions? I'm just looking at my phone as well. Q&A. I think I have gotten all of them. We'll give it a couple more minutes to see if any more questions come in, I guess. Do you think your degree helped you getting this graduate job? So do you think your degree helped you getting this graduate job? What else did you do to get yourself a relevant graduate job? Having a degree definitely made it a lot easier for me. Felt like a lot of the times, like at least in my experience, the LinkedIn postings usually do have degree required. I know it's not necessary, but it does usually help, and definitely helped in my experience as well. What else? To get myself a graduate job, I actually practiced a lot. So if you have friends to practice interviewing with, that's always a good thing. Brushing up on your fundamentals, so data structures, algorithms, always a benefit as well. Does your grad role require PR or citizenship? Unfortunately, the ones that we're looking for at the moment do require citizenship. So, yeah. Is the injection process done automatically or require some setup? It's done all automatically. So that's one of the things I was amazed by when I first started. I literally downloaded so the Easy Travel UI for myself just to run it, and I downloaded the Dynatrace One agent. And once it was up and running, I could see application traffic coming in. So the hardest part about my job is actually being able to analyze those failure degradations and help the developers figure out what was going on. So all of the injection is done automatically. Sorry, I have my phone at the bottom if you see me looking down. I guess I'll ask you guys a question too. Have you guys worked with any monitoring solutions in the past, or is this something new to all of you guys? It was very new to me when I first started. Yeah, there is an open API. So if you do need to create a custom service, depends on how you want to define that service. So a lot of the times, if we already have our agent instrumented, we can go within your methods and define custom services for you. So split out merge services within true. But if you do want to have something custom, Dynatrace is able to ingest that data as well. Yeah. Before I started with this company, I'd never used monitoring solutions as well. It's not really something you think about as a university graduate. At least I never did. I would just write code and it would usually work. A lot of my projects weren't on such large scales, but when you do get to very large production environments where you have thousands of pods fitting up and down, you do need to be able to see what's going on with your application and be able to triage your production incidents as soon as possible. And the easier it is for the actual teams, the better it is. If you do get a chance, I would recommend trialing it out. It's pretty easy to get set up. Well, I guess that is it. The questions are slowing down. I'll call it there. And thank you.
Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Here are the links for our Facebook, Meetup, and Slack channel.